Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. With I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. This is Toadstool Sports. This is going to be the Bracketology Thursday edition. First time I'm doing it on a Thursday night. I've been doing it every Monday. Again, I will say I don't even know how many people actually even enjoy this, how many people show up, whatever. We're going to talk about the updates to the Bracketology. This is as of today, but I did try to kind of incorporate some of the results from tonight as well. We can get into it, man. Let's do it. Let's start going. This is the updated Bracketology, as you can see here. The 1 seeds, we do have a change, as we do have Michigan not changing, still the overall 1 seed. I believe Ken Baum has them as the number 1 team, as usual. No change there. They keep winning. They just crush Purdue, so there's no reason for them, on the road, too, there's no reason for them to not continue to be the number 1 overall. There's a lot of, I think, debate between who's the number 2 overall team between Arizona and Duke, but they're obviously 2 and 3 in one order or another. Arizona did bounce back with a win over BYU. I know BYU with some injuries now, but I'll give Arizona a little bit of credit for that. Their losses that they took were not even bad, obviously, against pretty good teams in Kansas and Iowa State. Was it Iowa? No, it was Kansas, and then Iowa State beat Kansas. Wait, who was Arizona's other loss? Why do I not even remember, man? Don't remember, but whatever it was, their losses were to good teams, though. So I'm not going to knock them for that. Then Duke, Duke is just playing a less difficult schedule, man. That's the whole thing in the ACC, but they continue to do what they're supposed to do. They're there, and then Houston is now the last 1 seed. Now, even though I know they lost to Iowa State, very close game the other day, but I think Connecticut just had to be downgraded. They face an easy schedule, but they just got beaten at home by Creighton, which is not a good loss at all. So UConn gets downgraded to the 2 seed there. Iowa State on the 2 line as well, but nice win for them over Houston, man. But I just couldn't have them leapfrog Houston, really, just based on what the metrics were going into that. So I have them on the 2 line. I have Illinois on the 2 line as well. Illinois, I believe, just had... they had some impressive win. I think they just stomped USC. I think they went on the road and just destroyed them. So Illinois, they're still there. And then Purdue, not going to really downgrade them for a loss to Michigan. They're the last team on the 2 line. Florida is right there, kicking off the 3 line. Florida continues to roll in SEC play, and I believe they are the best team in the SEC. They're legit. They've been turning it on. They got their chemistry going on. Now they're going to be really dangerous. I could see a lot of these teams being good in the tournament, man. Like, a lot of these teams are pretty legit this year, so it's going to be pretty hard, I think, to pick a champion. It's not like last year where everything was, like, really top-heavy. That's not really the case this year. Kansas is still sitting on the 3 line, but Kansas might have some issues, man. As you see, their best player, who was supposed to be the number 1 draft pick, Peterson, I don't even know if he's actually injured, dude. Like, he was injured and missed some of those games. He missed the game where they had the huge win over Arizona. And then, Arizona lost to Texas Tech. I forgot about that. Yeah, just brain fart. I was like, who did Arizona lose to after that? Yeah, Texas Tech was the other loss. Not a bad loss though. But yeah, Kansas. I don't know what's going on with Peterson, dude. Like it seems like that could affect the team going into March Madness. I mean, they're a decent team, but when your best player and supposed best player like in the entire draft class is like basically sitting himself in games, and it seems like not Bill's Self. It seems like Self, the coach, is I don't know, getting kind of frustrated with him. I don't know what's going on there. There's something going on with Kansas, even though they did win on the road against Oklahoma State, which was a decent win. Kansas remains on the 3 line, but I don't know. There's some question marks there. Nebraska, they've been taking some losses recently. They did just take a loss to Iowa. They remain on the 3 line. Still a solid team. And then Gonzaga remains on the 3 line as well. They haven't really done anything wrong since they took that really, really bad loss to Portland, but they've righted the ship since then. Nice win over Santa Clara, so they just continue. I think they just beat San Francisco pretty easily after that. They're on the 3 line. Texas Tech is on the 4 line. Texas Tech did have that nice win over Arizona, but then they lost to Arizona State, which was a win that I gave out on the show here, which is not the Bracketology edition. But Texas Tech had a huge loss in that game, not only losing the game, but they lost JT Toppin, who was their best player, so that is a brutal loss for Texas Tech. So we're going to see what happens with them, man. I mean, their resume right now still puts them on the 4 line, but it seems like Texas Tech is just always, they're a good team, but they have these injuries. Like last year, it was McMillan, I think, missed a lot of the tournament. Now this year, Toppin is not coming back, dude. He has like an ACL tear, so really, really huge loss for Texas Tech. He's their best player, so that's not going to be good for them. Michigan State is also on the 4 line. They just obliterated UCLA. UCLA really having some issues. Michigan really good on defense, not a great offensive team. Vandy remains on the 4 line, even though they did just take another loss, I think, to Missouri in a close game. But they're still pretty legit. And then Virginia continues to really not do anything wrong, although I remain unimpressed by their resume, but they do keep winning. Just in kind of a weak ACC schedule. But they're there on the 4 line. 5 line, we do have Alabama, who did just beat Arkansas in an insane game last night. They went into double overtime, I think. It was a wild, wild game. I did watch some of that game. Arkansas also remains right behind them on the 5 line. 2 really good offensive teams that play fast. Defense may be questionable for those teams. St. John's remains on the 5 line as well. They got by Marquette last night, so they continue to win games. And then Tennessee on the 5 line could be a bit of an underrated team coming into the tournament, man. They're always like solid defensively. I know Rick Barnes has the thing, he never makes the Final Four or whatever, but early on in the tournament, they could be a pretty solid team just because they play good defense. They're just a decent team. Louisville on the 6th line. I don't know where to even put Louisville, man. They just took a loss to SMU. This Louisville team is such high variance because they take so many threes. Like they could put up 120 points in one game and then they'll score like 70 the next. I mean, it depends on whether the threes are dropping. It's really, really crazy. Very hard to figure out that Louisville team. Although they could be dangerous, of course. If they're hitting those threes, they could beat anybody. North Carolina has fallen to the 6. North Carolina just got absolutely crushed by NC State. I think they haven't played since then, but North Carolina also suffering with the Caleb Wilson injury. I believe he's not coming back. He is one of their top 2 scorers. That will hurt North Carolina. I don't think they're really as good as people think they are anyway, but they are on the 6th line right now. They will be in the tournament. BYU, as I said, they lost one of their best players with Saunders going down. He won't come back either, so that will hurt them a little bit. They just still have their top scorer, Dibansa, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's still there, but we'll see what happens to BYU without Saunders. They played pretty well against Arizona the other night. They played pretty competitively, so BYU still looks like they're a fine team still. They're on the 6th line. Kentucky, difficult to figure out what to do with them. They just took a pretty bad loss at home to Georgia, I believe, but I still have them on the 6th line just because it was kind of between them and St. Louis, and St. Louis's loss was worse to Rhode Island. Bad loss for St. Louis, so they have dropped to the 7 line for me there, although St. Louis still very, very good. Villanova is on the 7 line as well, just kind of performing as expected. Utah State with another really nice win. I think they blew out Boise in their last game, so a nice win from them, continuing their Mountain West supremacy. They're on the 7 line. Wisconsin did lose to Ohio State, I believe, but they remain on the 7 line as well with a couple of good wins prior to that. And it's also kind of because some of the other teams around them have been screwing up, like Clemson. Clemson just took a really, really bad loss to Wake Forest. I think they've lost 3 games in a row now, so Clemson has dropped to the 8 line. Don't exactly know what to do with Clemson or what's going on with that team. I don't think they're nearly as good as they were the last couple of years. NC State, great win over North Carolina in that they absolutely destroyed them. They're on the 8 line as well. I mean, they've just been kind of hanging around that seed for a while, but I couldn't really move them up that much further. Iowa just got a nice win over Nebraska. They remain on the 8 line. And then Miami of Florida continues to just basically perform as expected. They did escape the other night. I gave out a winner on Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech almost won that game. Would have been a huge win for Virginia Tech, but it was not to be. And Miami, we have on the 8 line here. On the 9 line, we do have SMU. A nice win over Louisville, like I said. So they sort of remain where I had them before. But that was a good win for them that should pretty much almost ensure that they're going to be in the tournament now with that win over Louisville, because that was one of their chances to get a big win, and they did it. Texas, they're not beating anybody great in the SEC, but they're on like a 5-game win streak, and they just continue to win games. So, and I think they're good enough. So they're on the 9 line right now as well. Texas looking good recently, getting credit for just stringing together all those wins. Indiana, I don't believe they've played since that loss to Illinois, so they haven't screwed up since then. So they're on the 9 line just because other teams have kind of not been doing as well. Texas A&M at least did get back on the right side with a win. Who did they beat? Ole Miss, maybe? I forget who they beat somebody. I don't even remember who it was in the SEC to end their losing streak. So they remain in the tournament on the 9 line. And then Georgia also remains in the tournament on the 10 line. That was a nice win for them over Kentucky. So that pretty much kept them in the tournament, Georgia, as they have fallen onto the bubble there. But that was a good win for them to keep themselves alive. St. Mary's continues to do exactly what you expect them to do, and they have seen no change, really. They're still on the 10 line in the West Coast Conference there. Then we get into the real bubble here. And I did this. I started looking at odds, betting odds, because there are betting odds out for the odds that teams will make the tournament. So I'm kind of looking at those now to kind of gauge what I'm doing here with the rest of it, because I use like an amalgam of all the bracketologies, and now I'm trying to figure out like how likely is it for each one of these teams on the bubble to make the tournament. So as far as the last 4 in, St. Mary's is one of them. The last 4 buys, I should say, into the round of 64. UCF is still there. They still have good odds to make the tournament. They did just take, I believe they just lost to TCU, I want to say. Or did they beat? No, they beat TCU, I believe. Yeah. I think UCF beat TCU to get back on the winning side there. But this UCF team, I just don't think they're really that good. There is a chance that they drop out of the tournament. But for now, they're still there. They've been there all year. But I'm not impressed by them. And if they're on the 10 line basically against any of these 7s, I think they're going to be out. We do have Missouri with a nice win over Vandy, and they are now on the 10 line. So they've worked their way into the round of 64 with some nice play as of late. That was a good win for them over Vandy. And then Ohio State is the last of those teams getting a bye right now. With that good win over Wisconsin, we have put them back in, man. So that's where I stand with those. Then we have the last 4 in the play-ins. UCLA has dropped. UCLA I had in the tournament all the way up until now. Those blowout losses to Michigan, I mean, maybe you can accept that one. And then Michigan State, I know they're a good team, but UCLA just completely non-competitive in those 2 games. So there's there are some problems there in UCLA, man. So they're almost playing their way out of the tournament right now. They're on the play-in line right now. Santa Clara is still there. I mean, I'm not going to knock them for losing to Gonzaga. They're a good team, man. So they're still there. I think they deserve to get in based on their metrics. Auburn has, I think, lost 5 games in a row now. They just took a really, really bad loss to Mississippi State, so they've fallen all the way into the play-in now. Even though I think metrics-wise, I think they deserve to be in. They've played a really difficult schedule, but you can't really lose to Mississippi State, man. So they're almost out at this point. And then the last team I have in, San Diego State, they did just take a loss to Grand Canyon. Not a good loss as a home favorite, where they should have won that game. They should have had a revenge win there, but Grand Canyon has good metrics too, man. So I don't know how much I should really knock San Diego State for that loss, and their metrics are good. So I think they actually kind of deserve to be in, and they usually are in. They might sneak their way into the tournament again, man. So that's how I have it right now playing out. In the first 4 out, we do have TCU right there. TCU did get that win over Iowa State, and then they did beat Oklahoma State in overtime, but Oklahoma State's kind of off the bubble now. TCU, like I said, I think they did just lose to UCF after that, though. So they remain first 4 out, but they do have the opportunity here to get in. USC has fallen all the way to the first 4 out. They just got absolutely wrecked by Illinois. This USC team, I mean, I don't know, man. The Eric Musselman project in USC, they've fallen to the first 4 out for me now. New Mexico, still there, playing decent in the Mountain West. They've just been kind of hanging around the bubble all season. And then Virginia Tech would have been huge if they got that win over Miami, but they remain on the first 4 out. They've played okay, but not well enough. Of course, because I have Akron winning the MAC, Miami, Ohio is still on the bubble there in the next 4 out. I just don't know what to do with them, man, because they're still undefeated, but they have one of the weakest schedules in all of Division I. Like, they're a bottom, 30 strength of schedule. So, what do you do? I don't think they have no quad 1 games at all. And I think they might only have 1 quad 2 win, which I think was against Akron. So, what do you do with a team like that, where their resume, yeah, they're undefeated, but they played nobody. So, I don't know, man. I think if they get in, they're going to be one and done. We'll see what happens. But I have them out right now. I have VCU in the next 4 out as well. We'll see what VCU can do in their next game against St. Louis, man. Catching St. Louis at a good time off losing a huge win streak. And it's revenge for VCU. So I'll talk about that game when it happens. West Virginia on the next 4 out as well. I believe they did just take a loss, though. That wasn't a good loss at home. And then Oklahoma did get a couple of wins over the past week and a half against Vandy. And I don't remember. They had one other pretty good win. So they're the last of the next 4 out right now for me. Even though I don't really think they deserve it, really. Just recency has put them there. Looking at the conference winners, we do have South Florida still winning the American. Really nice blowout win for them tonight against Memphis. I thought Memphis would be more competitive. South Florida looking pretty good. They are the best team in that conference. They're winning it for me right now over Tulsa. Tulsa would be the next best team in that conference. South Florida getting the 11 seed there. I still wouldn't really necessarily count out Memphis because they just seem to always kind of be there. And then I guess Wichita, maybe UAB. One of those teams. I mean, that American Conference is not that good, so there is the chance that one of those other teams could rise up. America East, I believe Vermont lost again tonight to UMBC this time, so UMBC evened up the season series 1-1. I've got UMBC winning that conference now. It's a bad conference, and Vermont is just not playing that well. UMBC getting in for me now and getting one of the 16 play-in games. Very, very, very bad conference, though. St. Louis, of course, still winning the Atlantic 10. That hasn't changed. They are going to be on the 7 line, as I already said, for now. Clearly they are the best team in that conference, but VCU is the next best team, so we'll see. And I believe, unless something really insane happens, if St. Louis loses to a decent team in the A10 tournament, they will get an at-large bid. Duke winning the ACC, of course, they're on the 1 line. Atlantic Sun, Austin Peay with an escape tonight against North Florida. Not a good performance from Austin P, but they still got a win, almost kind of a miracle. I watched the end of that, and I was kind of confused as to what those reffing calls were at the end of that game, but it's a bad conference. They're getting in as the 15 seed right now. They're going to still be still be competing with Central Arkansas, Lipscomb, and Queens, I guess, in that conference. But I have Austin P winning it right now. Arizona still winning the Big 12, although Houston, Iowa State, I mean, this is a very, very strong conference at the top, so we'll see who winds up winning it. But yes, I have Arizona winning it right now, being a 1 seed. UConn still winning the Big East. It will come down to UConn and St. John's, I believe. UConn getting the 2 seed now for me. Big Sky, Portland State did win again tonight. We have them getting in and getting a 14 seed now. It will probably be them or Montana State, I think, are the top 2 teams in that conference, maybe Montana. And I would not count Northern Colorado out, though. Like I said, they're actually better than people think they are. Big South, there is a big gap there with High Point. High Point wanted a blowout tonight. They will face Winthrop again in their next game. We'll see what happens. Winthrop already beat them at Winthrop, and it very likely will be one of those 2 teams, but High Point is still significantly better than Winthrop and should beat them at home, but we'll see. And then it'll come down to the conference tournament in the Big South. High Point getting a 13 seed for me right now. And Winthrop really did struggle tonight, but I think that is going to set Winthrop up to play better in the game against High Point. Big Ten, of course, I have Michigan winning it right now. They are the overall 1 seed. Big West, I believe Hawaii is about to start playing in one of the degenerate games there, the bailout games, which I don't recommend trying to bail yourself out, man. But I call them the late night games, the bailout games, because the public will come in and try to win their money back on them. But I do have Hawaii still winning the Big West. 13 seed for them. Could be them, could be UC Irvine. UC Santa Barbara is still there. I don't even know who won that game tonight between Santa Barbara and Northridge. I know it went to overtime. And then I still probably wouldn't count out UC San Diego either in that conference. So the Big West, we'll see which one of those teams rises up. Colonial, Hofstra with their nice win tonight. I do have them atop that conference again and getting a 13 seed, but UNC Wilmington is not that far behind. They did get another win tonight, although I think they're overrated a little bit. And then Charleston is also good in that conference. I think it should come down to one of those 3 teams. Conference USA, Liberty with another escape tonight. I don't know how they keep doing it. They just keep winning by the skin of their teeth, man. And they are the best team in that conference, although that conference sucks. But they did just barely get by at home tonight against Florida International. Bad performance again from Liberty in that one. But they won again. They're still undefeated in the conference. I'm giving them a 13 seed in this bracketology. Horizon League, we have Wright State still winning it right now. They're a 15 seed for me. It's them versus Oakland, I think, at the top of that conference. And then maybe one of the other teams could sneak in there because the Horizon does have a structure with not that many buys in there. So you still got like Northern Kentucky in there, IPFW, maybe Green Bay, like one of those teams. I don't know, Youngstown. Robert Morris actually kind of rising back up too, the team that won it last year. So could really be kind of any of those teams. We'll see. Yale is still winning the Ivy for me and getting a 12 seed. They're significantly better than the rest of that conference. Harvard, I guess, would be next, but there's a huge gap between Yale and everybody else. Merrimack winning the MAAC right now and getting a 16 seed. That conference could be won by a whole bunch of different teams, really, man. I still don't really trust Merrimack. I know I had Marist being the best team in that conference for quite a while. They're still up there. I don't really trust St. Peter's, although they have a chance as well. Siena is not a bad team as far as that conference is concerned. I always mention all those teams, you know, Quinnipiac and Iona. I guess you still can't really count those teams out either. So that conference is a cluster. Obviously, like I said, I still have Akron as the best team in the MAC. It should come down to them in Miami, Ohio, and we'll see what happens. Akron, I'm giving them a 12 seed right now. I believe they are the best team in that conference still. MEAC, I have Howard winning it and getting one of the 16 play-ins. Probably between them and NC Central. Maybe Norfolk State in that conference, but it's a bad, bad conference. Missouri Valley, no change with Belmont still getting the win there. They're on the 12 line for me. It's been between 12 and an 11 for me for Belmont. Murray State, another loss, I think, to Illinois State, either last night or tonight, I forget. But you do have those teams near the top of the conference: Belmont, Illinois State, Murray State, maybe Illinois, Chicago. Bradley, I seem to forget about them, but they're there. And then Northern Iowa, just because their defense is good. I could potentially see any of those teams getting it, but Belmont is definitely better than the rest. Mountain West, of course, Utah State winning it and getting a 7 seed. It will come down to basically them, San Diego State. I mean, the Mountain West, it'll be a competitive tournament again, probably. San Diego State's good. New Mexico's pretty good. Grand Canyon is pretty good as well. And then maybe Nevada, and then Boise kind of comes after that. So that's what that conference looks like, I believe. Did I forget anybody in that conference? I don't know. I think that's what it looks like. Northeast still have Long Island winning it and getting a 16 play-in. It's a bad conference. Probably comes down to Long Island versus Central Connecticut. Although Long Island has definitely been vulnerable, at least in that conference. But they are still the best team in it. Ohio Valley, I mean, I know UT Martin lost again tonight to Little Rock, but I still have them as the better team. Getting a 16 seed right now. That conference could be them, could be Southeast Missouri State, could be SIU Edwardsville. Tennessee State looked all right tonight in a win. Could be any of those teams, really. And then I know Little Rock beat UT Martin tonight, but they're a step down from the rest of those teams, so I don't know. And Lindenwood was the team that lost to Tennessee State tonight. They're kind of in the mix there as well. It would be a first bid for Lindenwood ever. You went against me with the Hornets, Garrett. Dude, stop. You got to stop betting with bias, dude. I know you got that one right, but I also thought Houston won by 5 in that one. Did they not win by 5? But I liked Houston in that one. It was a revenge spot for Houston. The setup coming out of the break was better for Houston. I would have absolutely not recommended that play whatsoever. Let me see. What else do we have going on here? Navy winning the Patriot. I mean, they did just beat Colgate. They do have another game against Colgate, but Navy will win the regular season. But then it'll come down to the tournament in that league. It should come down to Navy and Colgate. American is probably the next best team there, but I highly doubt that American is going to be able to rise up there. They have not looked good. Navy, it would be a big deal for them. I mean, these service academies, they just don't have height, really, so they usually don't get into the tournament. Navy, as I mentioned, has not been in it since 1998. So I do have them winning that league and getting a 15 seed right now. Florida winning the SEC, not surprising. I already mentioned it. They're getting a 3 seed right now. East Tennessee State still winning the Southern Conference and getting a 14 seed. That hasn't changed either. It could be them, could be Mercer. I think Mercer actually lost tonight to, who did they play? I don't even remember, man. Wofford is kind of in the mix there. Maybe Furman. That conference is not very good this year, though. McNeese in the Southland Conference. I still have them being better than Stephen F. Austin, man. We'll see what happens. They're getting a 12 seed for me. It'll come down to one of those two teams, most likely. The rest of that conference is just not good enough. I'd be shocked if it wasn't one of those two teams. Bethune-Cookman still winning the SWAC and getting the last of the 16 seed play-ins right now. Bad conference. I know they played tonight. I think they did win against Alabama State, but I don't even know. It's a terrible conference. I think Southern is probably the second best team in the SWAC after Bethune-Cookman, but you never know who's going to win that conference. Summit League, I do have North Dakota State, although it is close between them and St. Thomas. North Dakota State has 2 fewer losses and beat St. Thomas, I believe. I think it was the only time they played them, or did they go 1-1 against each other? I don't know. I forget. But North Dakota State getting a 14 seed for me. I'm kind of rooted for St. Thomas, though, just because they haven't made the tournament before. Sun Belt, we have a change. Arkansas State, I told you, power ratings-wise, they're one of the best teams in this conference, and Troy has really been slipping. Arkansas State has now moved up to being the best team there. They have a 15 seed for me. We'll see what happens because they're not atop the conference standings there. App State is there in the mix. South Alabama, although I think South Alabama lost tonight to, who did they lose to? I forget. And then Marshall is kind of in the mix as well. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. The Sun Belt is kind of chaos at the top of it. West Coast Conference, Gonzaga winning it for me and getting the last 3 seed. And then, as I mentioned, the WAC, the best team in the WAC is Utah Valley, who, as I said, I thought they were going to win by margin against Cal Baptist tonight, and they did. But I think was that tonight? Yeah. No, wait. Utah Valley played Utah Tech, maybe? Dude, I don't remember. I don't remember anything. Whatever it was, Cal Baptist, they're not the best team in the WAC. But I do have them getting in and getting a 14 seed. I would probably have Utah Valley getting a 13 seed, but as I mentioned, Utah Valley is banned by the WAC, so they can't play in the WAC tournament, which means they can't get into the NCAA tournament. It's some total BS, man. Just because they want to leave and go to the Big West and they haven't paid an exit fee. The WAC is an absolute ass conference, and they're only going to have 5 teams left probably, unless, dude, the conference just needs to disband. Like, that's all there is to it. And then I know I go to, I go to the Lunardi Bracketology to see how he differs from me. He last updated his 2 days ago. Well, you got to watch, man. I certainly do not recommend betting with your biases. Unless your bias is towards, the analytics / the situation. Lunardi in his 1 seeds, he's got Michigan, Duke, UConn, and Arizona, so we do differ on that last 1 seed. I think he did this before UConn lost, though, because I think UConn lost last night, so he might change that to Houston. He does have UConn for now, but I don't think he's factoring in that loss to Creighton. So we do differ there. And then his last 4 buys into the tournament are Texas A&M, UCF, Georgia, and USC. I have the first 3 of them getting buys, and I have USC out completely. So that is a difference for us. His last 4 in UCLA, Santa Clara, TCU, and San Diego State. We overlap on 3 of the 4 of those. And then he has Missouri, Ohio State, New Mexico, and Cal. First 4 out. VCU, Virginia Tech, Seton Hall, and West Virginia. Next 4 out. I have Missouri in and actually getting a bye, I think I did. Yeah, so, and I have Ohio State getting a bye as well. So 2 of his first 4 out, I have in the tournament. I have TCU out in the first 4 out, the first team out. And then I also have USC out. So we have 2 differences in the field of 68 between us. So that's what we got going on. Still not a huge difference. And I'm more up to date, baby. So we'll see. 18-4. Well, that is a good run. Yeah, but this team is playing really well. Just means they're going to be overvalued in the market. So, yeah, I mean, I do not consider that to be an argument for making a bet. That's going to do it. That's the Bracketology show for today. Thanks for hanging out. Garrett, it's only been you, baby, so thanks for hanging out. Thanks for not leaving when I'm a huge dick, because that's what I am. That's going to do it. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll break down the Friday card. There'll be college basketball and NBA. That's going to do it for now. I guess I might have to talk about the hockey games in the Olympics. I might briefly mention them. It's not going to be interesting, though. I'll tell you that. You already know what I think is going to happen. So, and the 2 teams that are obviously going to be in the finals are just huge favorites in the semifinals. So I don't think they're going to lose, especially when they're both coming off overtime games, coming off scares against inferior teams. That's going to do it. I appreciate it, man. Peace until tomorrow morning.